Hey guys, I'm Matt Lighty, and in this video we're discussing all things Val Temple, what Atlas strategy I'm running on them, the joy of Val Temple, what it represents, how to acquire them, what they can get you, and yeah, everything about Val Temple. So first things first, let's look at what the fuck Val Temple is. This is the wiki page for the Val Temple map. We're just going to walk through this together because there's some interesting things that are shown here to be noted and to remember while doing this map. So Val Temple is a map. That is correct. By default, it is always corrupted. Now you can 5-1 them, being vendoring 5 Val Temples to get an uncorrupted one, but it's relatively pointless at the moment, I would say. The big thing about Val Temple is its rate of acquisition is quite low because it can only be acquired in 2 main ways, which is from valing tier 15 maps, has a chance to become a Val Temple, and the more common way you'll probably acquire them is from the Lingering Remnants Divination card, which is a 16 card set that drops quite commonly, just gives you a Val Temple. You can get it from a couple other div cards, but that's the one you're probably going to get it from the most. Now, there's some specific cool drops from Val Temple, but first let's discuss the main part of Val Temple, what makes it so fun, and that is the Val Vessels. 10 of those per map, and they appear as effectively like strong boxes, but souped up strong boxes. They drop things like corrupted gems, double corrupted uniques, corrupted maps that do respect the favoriting system, and a whole variety of other things. Now, they are not part of the Atlas, but you can put on your Maven Eater Exarch stuff if you want to, and they are affected by your Atlas passive tree. That's the big one. The layout looks like a regular kind of maze map, and the bosses is the Atziri trio from the Apex or Alluring Abyss, the Atziri and Uber Atziri fights respectively. The kill order for the bosses is also quite simple. You kill the one who does the Rain of Arrows first, which we'll show as we do it, and then the two don't particularly matter, but she gets quite angry. And as you kill one, the other 2 get empowered, and as you kill the 2, the third one gets the most empowered. You can see the empowered variations, and long story short, when empowered, the Rain of Arrows one is particularly deadly. Now, they all can drop the Beauty Through Death card, which is quite nice. It's semi-rare, and it gets you the Atziri's Reflection, which is a very desirable shield for curse immunity. Now, also, the Rain one specifically, the one you first kill, is the one that drops the the ultimatum aspect for doing Trial Master. So if you're in Trade League, that fetches a pretty penny. So does the Beauty Through Death card. There are some cards for the zone itself. Ones to note that you get particularly quite commonly are the Valorb cards, of which there are 2. The rare cards being the Damned and Dragon's Heart, which drops everywhere, but the Damned is probably the big one. There is also the Mocking Amidst Double Corrupted card, but for the most part, you're looking at just getting some Valorbs. And now we discussed how to acquire it. There's also some ways to benefit it in slight ways. The Sextant that applies strong boxes does apply because the Val Vessels are strong boxes, so that is a nice little additional thing you could do. And I have a Atlas tree set up that benefits this to the fullest. Now, we discussed that Val Temple itself can be acquired in 2 ways. One of them is valuing tier 15s, which is not the most common outcome. So when you val a tier 15, it has a chance of becoming a Val Temple. Come on, baby. None. Come on. None. So to make a Val Temple, you could just val any tier 15 map. It has to be a tier 15. You don't really care about the tier 15s. You do just boss rushing. Don't bother crafting them because they're just going to go rare anyway. So if you really don't give a shit about what the maps are, surely one of these will go. Nope. Come on. No, mine did not. Again, it's not super common. They look like that. It says the area contains 10 additional guarded Val Vessels. That is the main tag. If you hand in the Lingering Remnant card, that'll get you a Val Temple. Looks just like the one I just made. The only main difference is, I guess, you can have them quality through making them yourself. And cards like the Explorer could also get you Val Temple, but probably will not. So, Val Temple itself is a really cool map. Why is it a really cool map? Well, there's some things I'd like to talk about that make it so cool. Now, the big thing is the 10 additional guarded vessels can be scaled up artificially with these modifiers. These are typically 2% increased effective modifiers on your map, and they are 4% because I have a wandering path tree. This sort of tree setup is what I would recommend if you're running Val Temples. If you're in trade, you can buy them in bulk, or when you get comparable amount of Val Temples and Soulless Hellfond, swap to a tree like this. A tree like this can be used for general mapping, but it really excels on Val Temple because that 10 becomes a 16. And more so, the 16 is also benefited by any amount of these small nodes you have. So these ones, it says 4% chance to be openable again. stacking up to 12% chance. That means there's a 12% chance every time you hit a Val vessel, it'll open again. So on average, you'll probably actually get, instead of 16 from the 10, closer to 18 Val vessels per map, which is insane. Now also they'll be guarded by additional pack of magic mobs, and because this little node, they'll have increased quantity. So a lot of cool things you can do to scale it up. And because we're wandering path tree, a couple things that are really good to get: the entire quantity wheel, the inner quantity wheel. Ritual is actually quite interesting with Wandering Path, and Harbinger I just have on for the pipe dream that is fracturing fossils. Not to mention the biggest value is the chance to drop duplicated maps. That is always very, very strong. So make sure you have some maps favorited because they gain value from that. So a couple things you could do. Again, we discussed the sextants for strong boxes. If I could just fucking type. This one, the enraged one, does apply, so you could pop that on any of your things. And when we could put this on, I have Wandering Path. I'm just going to put on Ritual just for the fact that I want to showcase what Ritual looks like with that on as well. And let's run it back so you can see what it looks like with Stream of Consciousness to give you an idea of how many vessels we're going through here and what Val vessels actually are. Because that's the big draw, is the Val vessels. You do Val Temple for Val vessels, but it's just fun. I previously said that synthesis maps were the most fun thing. After they were nerfed, to me this is the most fun thing in the game. So it's guarded by additional packs or enraged, additional quantity, and these vessels themselves, when clicked, spawn mobs, and typically spawn what would be like a Val side zone boss almost. And you'll see sometimes unique mobs of that ilk. But what they do drop, again, is large amounts of double corrupted things. Now, you get the cool div cards, yada yada, but here the fun part is you get these things that are just corrupted uniques, double corrupted cobalt jewels, etc. So these things are like just really fucking enjoyable, you know? I would recommend doing this because this is addicting. That's the big part. Popping vessels is really fucking addicting. So here's some more vessels, and it's like these maps are jam-packed also. There's one of the specialty bosses, and cool, we got a couple of sack frags, and we got a double corrupted jewel again. It's really also fun because we have mana reservation. The reduced mana reservation is a modifier in jewels now. Also a modifier in implicits, so you can get 3% RMR on a jewel. On top of that, get 2% implicit, and it ends up with a 5% reduced mana cost jewel, which is just kind of spicy. Ritual with Wandering Path is super juiced as far as how fast it spawns, the quantity of mobs that spawn. The only annoying part is there's not guaranteed 4, there's not guaranteed stuff, but again, you only get 1 reroll also. But some parts of it is kind of nice. Don't forget, get minimum of 16 vessels per map because we're doing with all the nodes on from Wandering Path. Harbingers have, with Wandering Path on, guaranteed chance to drop currency in stacks, I believe. I think because it goes over the, whatever it is, the 100%. So you'll at least get one Harbinger with the stack on, but it is kind of cooked to not have fucking big Harbingers. But other things you could select in the area are like Beyond is okay. Harbinger's kind of just like whatever, but Ritual I feel like does operate quite well. Here's the duplicate box, so I hit it once and then I got another chance of hitting it. That can proc, to my knowledge, infinite amounts of times. So you can hit the same Val Vessel 3-4 times. So here we go. Proc number 1. Survive, man. Nothing. Number 2. And, oh, see, we got a freebie there. Okay, see, I can hit it again now. So there's my 12%. My 12% of the dream. And, okay. See, this is like all these double corrupt things are... This is why you do it, just because of the joy of seeing, you know, cast speed axioms or whatever the fuck. Pop! Ooh, big monkey. And Gluttony. Just to showcase as we're walking through, you can see the area contains 16 vessels. That's the scaling up from the Wandering Path right there. Sweet, sweet Val vessels. Give me your goodies. 21 shield shards for gaming. And Yoke of Suffering corrupted. Alright. A Chin Soul with Onslaught and Yoke with Pride and Movement Speed. That's kind of cool. Okay. That's something. I'll take that. Anything good? Voidbringers with Vuln on hit. Okay. Val vessels, as far as the eye can see. What joy do they bring? So much joy. So much joy for the whole family. This room has like 6 Val vessels in it. You can't beat that, you know. Fucking 16 Val vessels, man. Training Val vessels, left and right. Where are my double corrupted uniques? Oh, the Ondars. Okay, so there's the mana reservation implicit. Good example of this that hit it on the explicit, it would have been pretty sick. This is the last ritual, so it's a good way to show how much ritual this is pretty much giving, or juice I should say. Around 7,000. And again, we have less rerolls because we don't have everything spec'd in and what have you, but our defer costs are decreased or increased. This is the one reroll we get. That's kind of, you get what you get, you don't get upset, you know. So, you know, keep that in mind for doing ritual. We could just kind of buy out whatever the fuck it has if it's things we want, and then we just kind of move on after that. As the map comes to the end, you get to the boss room. It is self-contained. What I'd recommend is you come down and go around. You'll be able to see, she's right there, you see a little foot. You want to kill again her first, the rain one, because it's a little problematic to fight the other ones. So I typically try to get her down first, and once she's down, that's kind of all the threat gone in the area. They do drop a puddle, so avoid that, but yeah, they die quite quickly. It's just, you know, she's spooky. The other ones are just melee boys. But that's the entire map. You can pick whatever secondary content you want that doesn't particularly need notables for it to function. Expedition, you could do as well, or Legion, or whatever you want. I do like Ritual. I think it works pretty okay for this. And past that, Beyond is also nice for you in the area. Yeah, now see, like, there's another example if we get to click it twice. Always fun to see. Didn't get a third time, but you can. The price of protection card's quite common, which gives you elder maps. So, you know, kind of nice to see there. Angry boy. Oh, we got an extra click here. That's another double one. Can we make it a triple? We cannot. Oh, the quivers. Added damage quivers out the ass. Look at that, double added damage. That's so much extra damage in this quiver. You just have a really fun time. That's really the whole point of this mechanic, is just having a fun time doing these Val Temples, you know? Loot pinatas left and right. Here's another one. Boop. Watch out for the Nova. And Leer cast. Whoa. With AoE and AoE. The double AoE Leer cast. I'll be aura botting in no time. 21 Frostblades. Tempting, but no thank you. Faded Breath. Not quite replica. Essence of Insanity. Yeah, those can drop from here. Val Vessels. Val Vessels. I love me some Val Vessels. Whoa, Agneron North. That's like wild, man. Boss time, and down she goes. Hey, there's the Ignominious Fate nonsense. No div card from this run. But, yeah, we got a lot of uniques off the bosses. There is the piece that I was telling you about. The piece for Trial Masters. That's, that drops. So the drop rate's not great, but it can drop, so cool to see. The general currency return is quite high, honestly, from doing Val Vessels. You typically get a good decent amount of maps as well, although most of them are going to be corrupted. Sometimes you do get Val Temples like this, and yes, they kind of suck to hit, like no regen, etc. But, you know, do the best you can, I guess. Because you get so many sacrifice fragments, if you want to, an alternative thing you could do is you could pop off Stream of Consciousness, totally fine, and just unironically, almost on every single Val Temple you run, you could just toss on sac frags for additional quantity. Each one does a substantial amount, and you get so many sac frags back that you're really going to be not losing any. Every single one you pop is like a little fun pinata of goodness, you know? You never know what's going to come out of it. Seen pictures of people hitting Headhunters, Mage Bloods, which is less fun than a Headhunter off of if it's corrupted. You know, Kalandra Ring with 2 corruptions is always funny. Anything you get is always welcome. It's a fun little treat, you know? Living life in the Val Temple's a good time. You can get a Malachi Simula. Ba-ba-ba. Ba-ba-ba-ba. Let the loot rain down from the heavens. Oh, we got another one there. Double. Can I get the triple? Give Papa the triple. No triple. Hey, Obas. That's 2. You get a third? Hey, 3. Okay, so this is the third time we're hitting this one Val Vessel. Can we go to 4? No, just 3. That's the amount of loot that can come off of one. You keep hitting those like back to back to back, and it gets pretty lucrative. You can hit 21 gems. You can hit Val gems. You can hit you know, no shortage of fun things to be had. Or Onslaught and Namahus. Particularly like in SSF, and it's kind of lends itself to like, ooh, I get something fun and maybe I want to use it. Like, I wouldn't want to use an Onslaught and Namahus, but what if it was Onslaught and fortified. Now it's like, holy shit, I'm actually playing in the Mahus for the first time in 19 years. Yes, possibly you will. Val Vessel, give me the goods. Irish truth. Oh, flame blast. You bitch. Eat shit, eat shit. Val Vessel. Come on, double corruptions. Just chasing those, man. Oh, second click. Go for 3. No 3. Southbound. Fun thing to remember, if you're using the Darkness Enthroned, the 75% increased effect of Socketed Abyss Jewels should apply to the implicits as well. So if you get some cool double corrupted ones that have the same implicits, you can do some funky things. Like for example, right? Say I have this out. Okay, let's see if this works. We'll just do this in real time because I'm a real time kind of guy. This has a chance to bleed. Doesn't exist. If I pop this in, there we go. So avoid chance to bleed. My fucking blind. 36% because it's 21% scaled up. So the implicit is being scaled by the explicit of Darkness Enthroned. So 2 of those in equals a 72% chance. Now these can roll 25. You can also get it as an explicit. So keep that in mind that these implicits can also be scaled up by things like Darkness Enthroned. So something to keep in mind. Don't forget, you can also, if you wanted to, can scale up the pack size of Exarch things. So you could like put points in to scale up the Exarch modifiers as well. It ends up being 40% increased pack size for like Exarch or Eater, whatever one you want. Probably should put that on. I think I'm going to take off Harbinger and put that on. There's just so many fucking boxes, bro. Pack City over here, man. It's great. Just a lot of fun, you know? Just fun to see things. Pop these juiced up boxes. Hey, another Ignis Fate. There we go. That's awesome. Where's our div card, baby? Give me that fucking Adziri's div card, you know? What am I missing here? What am I missing? Div card when? So just goes to show up, you also want to farm something like Adziri. From this map alone, we've gotten 6 Adziri runs, basically, in full. So if that was something you wanted to do, you know, and farm out like Pledge of Hands, or do Uber Adziri for Disfavor and SSF, no shortage of Adziri sets from Val Temples. I think I might swap Harbinger into Harvest. Not having the large Harvest nodes isn't too terrible, I don't think. Alright, so I've made some changes to the Wandering Path tree. We dropped Harbinger, we moved some stuff around, we still have Ritual, we just grabbed the Exarch pack size one, so it's 40% increased pack size, which is super, super nice, and we just picked up Harvest. I'm not sure if I want to do specified colors for the juice, but for now we're just going to keep it as it is. All the small nodes, and it should feel pretty good. So we're back to doing this and back to Val Templing. Let's see if we can get anything fancy of note, because I'd love to see some good drops here. Those 30% quantity rarity modifiers I keep picking up from Exarch are super, super nice, but they do add a level of difficulty to the map. So if you are going to be grabbing them, keep that in mind, that things do get harder and harder as you start to grab those bad boys. Like right now, the quantity and rarity is cranked, but everything around me is super lethal. This map now has 186 quantity, but boy is it spooky. Val Vessels, I love them, I love them, I love them. Malkoon. Hey, some 6 links. Dancing Dervish. Interesting, interesting. You're going to Harvest, by the way. I do believe it makes more sense to wait till the very end of the map, because you might get more Exarch altars that in turn increase the quantity value even higher. That should scale up the juice, so just food for thought, you know. Huh, that's funny. We just had a Tessalio sign. There's another Tessalio sign. This one has immune to poison and extra damage. Oh, I got the boss ritual in here, huh? Definitely add the level of difficulty. Cards? Any div cards? No div cards. Don't forget, you can Val Vessel the boss, but just keep in mind that Val Vesseling the Val Temple boss and using subsequent Val Vessel can be pretty spooky, because I'm not sure which of the 3 bosses you get, or if it's all 3. Yeah, it looks like there's all 3. But that the rain chick is very angry. Wait, grab it, what does it say? It says, yeah, it says all 3 bosses. Alright. Val Vessels left and right. Push them once, push them again. So many Val Vessels, man. This is just great times. So many strong boxes. I don't know what the fucking clicking. Just keep clicking, you know? And I think at least half of these have re-upped themselves. I don't really know. Alright. One of the cards you get a lot of is the Admirer, which is the Adziri item. This can give you anything from Adziri, including Triumvirants, including 3 and 4 roll Triumvirants. So that's pretty cool to see those. You can also get things like just Adziri's Disfavor. It can just happen. But yeah, Val Orbs will happen also quite frequently, which is always welcome. The quantity increase is honestly pretty decent though for Harvest with this Wandering Path 3. You feel like the rares that do drop tend to yield a pretty okay amount. Man, it's more lightning damage than the Storm Cloud. It's the ultimate storm. Who needs a Tempest when you have a Storm Cloud like that? This is the 3rd time I've opened this Val Vessel. Might have been. I wasn't paying attention. But it's still there, so surely. Surge Binders are kind of cool. They're like plus charge and Ellie Week. Plus, they're plus charge and plus 1 gem. Okay, that's actually not bad. Ooh, I did not do that right. Uh-oh. Just gonna... Yeah. Oh, we got a Beauty for Death. Perfect. Well, that's fine. It all worked out in the end. So there's the div card. That's the, super cool because... Oh, look. It's Perseverance. There's the div card for Adziri's Reflection. I want to say the drop rate's gonna be like 1 in 15 Val Temples. That could be total bullshit. But these ones are pretty cranked to the max also. So if you do find yourself getting 5 of those bad boys, well, then you get yourself a free Adziri's Reflection, which is still a extremely good shield, very underrated, honestly, crazily so. So, enjoy. Oh, don't forget, a lot of these corrupted things might be 6 sockets that have great implicits, but you don't want to go through the effort to link them or deal with that whole process. Well, don't forget that they just buffed Beyond currency, tainted currency, and it's back to kind of it's close to its former glory. So it's a lot easier to 6 socket link recolor corrupted items now. So don't fret if you find a a +4 gem level Dialia's body or some shit, and you're like, oh, I don't want to have to pay 1,500 Val Orbs to do this whole thing and whatnot. And you don't gotta do that anymore because you got tainted currency back on the menu. Bam, Crab Claw. Man, this is just Juice City. It's just great. A lot of fun just seeing these. No, that's a triple. This one's 3. 3 times I've hit that same Val Vessel. We go for 4. The dream is dead. Not that it's also its key purpose, but look out for leveling uniques. Unironically, like +4 Ezomite Peak might sound really shit, but level 16 they get +4 gem levels. Kind of trivializes leveling for a lot of builds, so maybe on a Thrill Steel or a Gold Rim would be more adequate, but just be on the lookout. A lot of double corrupts drop from this process. A lot of fun ones too. Never know what you might find in the land of Val Temple. Feel this one. 21-20 General's Cry. Nice. Pretty cool. They can't drop 21-23 gems anymore, but they can drop 21-20s, which for all intents and purposes is basically just as good. So, ooh, a Ming's Heart. Well, you have as a corruption. That's not good. Fortify AoE Dancing Dervish. That's pretty cool. If you're ever playing Dervish, that's definitely something you'd want to rock with. Come on, div card. Go with the div card. No. Well, you live and you learn. At least we get one more Val Vessel full of these bad boys. And there's one more thing I want to show you about Val Temple that I'd be remiss if I didn't mention. I don't really know how good it is or if it's worth using in general, but I do want to highlight it because it is a thing that you can legally do. Now, earlier you saw I had a Val Temple that had less than desirable mods. This one right here. It has a lot of damage, which I don't particularly want, and then no regen. Now, what you could do, and what you can do for Val Temple in general, is a criminally underused keystone called Twisted Fate. This says your corrupted rare maps and any Atlas missions, map crafting options, and scarabs applying to them are modified unpredictably. It's going to basically randomize everything else but the implicit on this map. Now, what this really means is, when I pop this bad boy in here, okay, and we run it, it's going to open up what would be a Val Temple, but not a Val Temple. In this case, it opened up a ghetto. Now, why is that important? Well, 2 things to note. One, obviously the settings changed and the map mods have changed. The other thing to note is, it should, I'm not sure if it's going to show it, there it is, it should retain, and it does retain, the Val Vessels. Funny to note, it doesn't actually tell you that because it's now unidentified. So it won't tell you it has them, but it does have the 16. The reason this is kind of cool, and again, if your build can be bricked by modifiers, you really shouldn't do this because it could put on those modifiers anyway. This could roll reflect and etc. But this also changes the div cards that can drop. And Val vessels have a very high chance of dropping div cards, you know, etc. So maybe if you want to do some desirable div cards, you get one that has a particularly bad modifier, you could put on Twist of Fate. And again, just to showcase this, let's just hit a Val vessel here. And the mob types are different. Everything is different. The boss is different. So it's just like a fun way of maybe salvaging a terrible map you've rolled, or if you just want a change of pace and don't want to be in that cluttered Val Temple area. That being said, one of the most desirable parts of Val Temple, to be fair, is the boss. And that is something you'll be losing if you do this. But maybe more as you roll your Val Temples and as you get them as you progress through the league. You happen to have ones that do have particularly terrible modifiers that you can't change, well, because they're corrupted. Maybe look into doing this, because this is a fun way to salvage them and add a little bit of diversity and potentially better div card selectivity to your maps. Oh, opulent. Nice. I need this for the challenge. Wow, this is so serendipitous. I did my first opulent, and it didn't count. I don't know why it didn't count, but it didn't count. So I'm hoping this one just counts, because I'd like to, no offense to Ritual, but not do any more Ritual this league, you know? Will this opulent count? Oh, it does. Nice. I'm free from Ritual. I heated up water on my electric kettle to make myself some coffee, and that water's now cold. I'm gonna have to remake my water now. Oh, one more little hideaway vessel lurking in the cut over here. Yeah, Twist of Fate, kind of cool, kind of shit, but it's great for salvaging terrible Val Temples if you happen to have those. Now, throughout this process, we've been getting Price of Progress cards. When we started to do what we ran was 6 Val Temples. In this video, we had, I think, 1 div card. Just for context, we have, what is it? Is it not Price for Progress? What is it called? Oh, so we have 11. We've gotten 11 now. So I guess you could probably expect every 8 to 10, oh my god, 8 to 10 Val Temples, 1 return. One more thing, as I keep adding things that you can do to not really acquire Val Temples, but you could run shitty Val Temples. And that is using Kirac missions. Now, Kirac missions have a chance to give you these Val Temples right here. One thing to add, because it is a thing you can do, is you can, since we're wandering path, pick up these small nodes to increase the quality of maps offered by Kirac by upwards of 40% there, and the pack size in the map by 30%. I don't think these things scale up the loot from the vessels. I'm not sure if it does, but you can pick them up if you want to make it a little bit juicier. I also don't know if it's posthumous. No, see, it's the quality has not been increased by any amount. So that might be, can only be done if you're actively going into them. So maybe we'll try to get a Val Temple with those on. Okay, so first up is the Val Temple without, I guess this is without having the nodes on. And we'll run with the nodes on. He could also sell Val Temples. Those are fine. And those will be good. And these should now have, yes, you can see plus 27% pack size, plus 40% quality. So possibly some validity to it. No! Now, if you're lucky, and you're a real cool guy, you can get your Kirac to look like this. And have all the Val Temples. Now, they do say the pack size scaling, they do have the quality. So if you want to find a juicy one, they do have also their own little missions. I just ignore that shit. This one has the highest quantity, so I'm going to hit the... Well, actually, this one's 129. Even better. Let's do that one. And yeah, so he does offer them. You can get your fix, if you will. You can check the vendors, and you can, you know, just keep getting assigned them. So Kirac missions also might be something that's worth investing into if you so desire. Map's quant is nice, but again, you can't scale up those 10 vessels. So just keep that in mind, that number ain't changing. Although the map itself might be getting a little juicier because the wandering past small Kirac nodes, you're not actually making the Val vessels that much better, if at all. It's impossible to 100% sustain Val Temples. Never forget that. You know, you can't really go infinite. So you're just kind of stemming the tide of enjoyment. At least this way, you could extend the tide, you know? Keep that tide extended, like a fully erect penis. Even with all the juiced metrics, this definitely feels worse than when we do our Val Temples in the overworld. It's It definitely helps. Like, the pack size feels better. The quality, I'm sure, is better. It just, it just doesn't feel as good, you know? So, definitely worth, I think, doing if you're going to have those couple points on and run Val Temples through Kirac as well, if you just want to kind of extend the Val Templing as much as possible. But these do feel like the you know, the shitty younger brother of traditional Wandering Path Val Temples. Okay. That dude triggered real fast. Hey, another Ignominious Fate. Nice. No card though, right? Nah. Alright, well that's pretty good. Still pretty solid from Kirac, just not as solid, basically, as if we were doing our regular ones from maps. But if you can hit more from scouting reports, definitely worth investing into. The scouting report we'd like to hit it would be the one that says corrupted, but we have no way of really increasing our scouting reports from dropping because I'm pretty sure it's all in the keystones. That's basically it. I think we've covered everything there really is to talk about regarding Val Temples. A lot of fun times to be had. It's Loot Pinata City. It's the most enjoyable, I think, Loot Pinata experience in Path of Exile that's not only accessible and affordable, but you could do on such a frequent basis that it really feels like the time between it is not, you know, terrible. Doing bossing is fine and well, but sometimes getting to bossing and sometimes doing bossing, the real joy is few and far between. But for Val vessels, the party just doesn't stop.